Hello and welcome to the Bronco Exchange. I'm your host, Dr. Shanessa Fenner. And today I have a very special guest, someone that I've known probably the last 10 or so years. He is the founder and owner of Up&Coming Weekly, Women's View, and Kids View, Mr. Bill Bowman. Hi, Mr. Bowman.
Hello, Dr. Fenner. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Now, Mr. Bowman, I want you to first start off by telling our audience, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? Just tell us all the good things.
Well, it can be a very short conversation if it's the good thing. Right?
Okay.
But like many people that live in Cumberland County, I came here through the Army. I was 19 years old, first came to Fort Bragg and just never left except for going to school. You know, coming back, I really, really liked it here. I was from up north.
Where are you from?
Yeah, I graduated high school in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Oh, okay.
And then when I came down here and realized it didn't snow in April, I decided to stay.
Okay, wonderful. Do you have a wife, children? Tell us about that.
I do. I married a local girl here, Marilyn Harrison, and we have a son who works in New York on Broadway as a singer, actor, dancer.
Wonderful.
Making a living.
Okay.
Making a paycheck. He's married, and we have one grandchild.
Okay.
So, but yeah. Matter of fact, he's here in North Carolina this week, opening and producing a show at the Duke Energy Center at the North Carolina Theater in Raleigh called Janis Joplin, a show of my period.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about your publications. You've got Up&Coming Weekly, Women's View, and Kids View. So how did you come about this?
Well, these publications that we do are a little bit different than other publications. We call these publications a purpose because when I started the company 23 years ago, I started it with the newspaper, Up&Coming Weekly, which is a North Carolina Press Associated newspaper. It's a weekly. And what we wanted to do is accentuate the good things going on in the Fayetteville, Cumberland County, Fort Bragg community. We noticed, or I noticed, that all the years that I was here, I loved this area. I love this community. And as I would travel all over the country, I would realize that everybody knows where Fayetteville is, everybody knows what Fort Bragg is, but very seldom did anyone ever say anything nice about our community. And that was just the way it was. You know, Fort Bragg with the hundreds of thousands of people that have gone through and the war and everything, you know, it just gets that reputation. So I wanted to change that. So when I created the newspaper, it was to be a reflection of this community and the quality of life. So that's how we've developed it. And since then, it's 23 years old now. Women's View is 9 years old. Kidsville News was started here 20 years ago. We created that in conjunction with the Cumberland County school system. And we created it as an educational literacy product to get children to read. And the program was so successful, not only has it been in Cumberland County for 20 years, going to every K through 5th grader in Cumberland County every month free of charge. And it's also distributed through the Parks and Recreation, the libraries. You get it at your school.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and you've been getting it, you know, ever since you've been there. It's been so successful that it's now in 3 states and in about 11 other counties.
Wow.
They have adopted the same procedure, and we help them bring it to their communities. We also have a pocket guide, which is a publication that tells newcomers in this community where to go, what to do, where to get their services from. You know, it has all the arts, cultural venues, it has all the churches, all the political offices and how to contact people. And this is given to every person that steps foot on Fort Bragg to help them get acclimated to our community. So every publication that we have serves a specific purpose. Women's View addresses the professional woman, and it ties in with a quarterly luncheon that they have called the Fayetteville Ladies Power Luncheon, which again is a venue to promote and empower women. So everything that we do actually has a purpose, and the people that support these publications are businesses and organizations that we're helping fulfill their mission and mandate.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, Mr. Bowman, tell me a little bit about a day in the life of Bill Bowman. You've got these 3 publications, you got a lot of things going on. And what kind of responsibilities do you do day to day?
Well, as the oldest paper boy in Fayetteville, Confucius said that if you have a job that you love, you'll never work another day in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way I feel about what we do and what we bring to this community. We try to get involved to this community at every different level, a political level, a cultural level, a civic level, from a civic engagement point of view, because as a company, our revenue comes from advertising and people who use our publications to help with their businesses or organizations. But the real purpose of these publications is to help them get their message across, because advertising alone in this community really doesn't work, Shanessa. You've got to promote and you got to market your business. You got to be out there in the public telling people who you are, what you do, and how they can assist you in being successful. That's what works, okay? Advertising works from a brand development. It tells people to recognize who you are. It makes you an option, okay? But to be really successful in Cumberland County, and I assure you, Cumberland County is different from any other community around now. It's different than Charlotte, Chattanooga, Baltimore. When you come into Cumberland County, it's a whole different environment. And it gives us great pleasure to be able to help businesses and organizations be successful in that environment.
Okay. Now, Mr. Bowman, I understand that you also write as well in Up&Coming. I know your recent piece that you wrote had to do with public figures showing up. Why don't you expound on that for me right now? Oh, yes.
Well, one of the unique things about our publication, our newspaper, and the reason it has such a high level of credibility in this community is because it's all first person. Okay, you've been writing for us for over 10 years. Margaret Dixon has been with me for over 15 years in Pitt-Dickey. But you'll notice in our publication, every writer, you got their photo and you have their credentials there, because it's all first person. So we're not saying what we think he said, she said. You're talking directly to the community. And when you do that, you take responsibility for whatever it is that you're writing.
That's right.
So it allows us to bring in different voices, and that's what makes the publication unique and acceptable in this community. It's extremely diversified, not by race, but we've got politicians, libertarians and Democrats and Republicans, and we got all kinds of views, all writing about what concerns them and how it affects the community. And that's what our readers want to read about. So the specific article you're talking about is that I was talking about civic engagement. And I was talking about a responsibility that I feel that politicians or elected officials have to their communities, where it used to be that public officials would be almost everywhere there was a significant event going on or a celebration, because they would want to be a part of it. Well, I was at an event, it happened to be the Care Clinic event last week, and they had over 300 people there, and it was a virtual who's who in the community from the point of view of a business or a resident or an organization. But what was obvious is that there were no public officials there. There was no one from the state, there was no congressman there, there was no city council people there, there was no county commissioners there. And I felt that that was extremely unusual for a prestigious event like the Care Clinic, who is celebrating their 25th anniversary, whose services the working poor in this community. You would have thought that they would all be there, but they're not there. And that's a disturbing reality in our community right now. At least it is to me, because they should be there. They should be there to interact with the public, to their constituents. They should be there to show support for events like that. They should be there to answer questions or just converse, with their constituents. That's the way it used to be.
Okay.
But it's not that way anymore.
So that was the point. Why do you think they weren't there, Mr. Bowman? I mean, just your own personal opinion.
Well, I think that politics has become very polarized now. Mm-hmm. I think that there's a lot of things going on, and I've talked to some individuals. They say, well, yeah, I was here or I was there, and I get that. But basically, I think it's because politics nowadays are so polarized. There's no gray areas anymore. It's all black and white. I think political correctness has practically ruined our sense of reason. We don't seem to want to negotiate anymore. We don't seem to be tolerant of other people's opinions. We don't want to compromise. It's either my way or the highway, and I think that makes people uncomfortable. And I don't think they like to be seen out in public, where someone can come up and say, "Hey, what do you think about this issue?" And then they're going to have to come up with something. So the way they get around it is don't show up. Mm-hmm. That's what I think, but that's my opinion.
Okay. Well, Mr. Bowman, I thank you for part one of the Bronco Exchange. Thank you, audience, for viewing the Bronco Exchange. I'm Dr. Shanessa Fenner. Have a good one.
So very much hypnotized, familiar stranger.